Okay, it's close enough there. It's 1 o'clock. I'll call them to order the Comprehensive Master Plan Advisory Committee meeting for July 12th, 2019. As far as attendance, we are missing 2 committee members. We have Jody, who is absent, and Clint, who are absent. They notified us they're both out of the state. I can say that. Okay. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Second?
Second.
Any changes to the agenda? All those in favor of the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the June 14th, 2019 minutes version? What, Tom? 3.
And those are the only ones you've seen.
I thought it was version 22.
Okay, Rolland, motion.
Second.
Second. Okay, any other further discussion on those minutes that we beat to death?
They are accurate.
They're accurate. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Buddy, board liaison report.
Only thing I have to say, and I know y'all going to cover this, is that we had our meeting of the 4 people doing the interviews for the subcommittee, and we met and decided who those people are. I'm sure you're going to announce that today. And we had an excellent meeting, excellent interviews, really nice, really good qualified people. So that's about it.
Okay, thank you, buddy. Stephanie from the staff.
I have a couple things, not just really just informational, but I think you guys knew I spent some time in a couple of classes recently, and I thought I'd tell you just a couple of the topics that we covered. One was called Code Hackathon, which is a way to, it was a class to help people who are adopting a form-based code who are an already existing community, and the challenges that entails, and what all you can do about that. Getting to yes in a divided community, that was a really interesting class. Just one that was really interesting is we weren't all alone. That's something that you have to deal with in many different places. A couple just interesting facts though. 75% of American households are single today. That means, or couples with no kids or shared by a roommate. Well, that was interesting. 83% of American households will have no children by the year 2030. That's crazy, 83%. And single person households are expected to grow by 44% by the year 2030. And the reason I think that's particularly relevant here is we've been talking about new housing typology and smaller and how we're going to accommodate those people who are single or childless, that sort of thing. So I also spent some time recently in a planned community conference, and that was with other master plan community folks here in the state of Arkansas, Bella Vista, Cherokee Village, Fairfield Bay, Hot Springs Village, Holiday Island. It's the one just south of us. Just below Lake Catherine.
Oh, Diamond Head.
Diamond Head, thank you very much, yeah. But the interesting part of that discussion was that the Parks and Tourism folks were there from the state. And they wanted to visit with all of us to get our perspective. They have renewed their commitment to retirement and relocation. And so they are really amping up to support all of the retirement communities, or these master plan communities that are predominantly retired, even if not 55 plus, and how they can support us and what we do and so forth. So, and not just with resources, but financially, like paying for our booths and trade shows and things like that. So that was really good. And then in VOA business, we have our new CMEO started, Jamie Caperton. She's going to be the staff liaison person to the marketing subcommittee. ACC is going to be recommending a change to their meeting structure, where they meet 4 times a month right now to go to a 2 times per month. We'll be discussing that next week. That's not, it's not finalized, but that's something they're looking at. We are also working on the commercial construction packet in the ACC office, revising that document to make it easier for people that are doing commercial work here and for those that have commercial and are doing renovations. Example would be TJ's Market, something that's already existing but are doing a retrofit kind of thing. The pool groundbreaking is Tuesday for anybody that's interested, Tuesday at 11:30. And our golf department has started the Heat Shotgun starts. That's every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday This month, it rotates on golf courses, just one course per day. So far, really popular. The shotguns have filled up in the lottery, so that means people are happy about that. They can get their golf over with. What I like about that is they get their golf over with early, which is great for the member, and then we can shut down the operational side of it, so we're saving in staff, saving in resources there in the afternoon when it's really slow anyway. So that's great. And then in August, they're going to add Mondays to that. And then last thing I would have, just to let you guys know about, is the urban deer hunt, and that starts September 1st, runs through February 29th, that program. We're doing some tweaks to it this year as far as the map and making sure that people are actually hunting in the right locations. They're not getting close to homes, not getting close to roadways. We're basically the host city. Arkansas, the Arkansas bow hunters manage that hunt, and along with Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. But I just wanted to kind of get it out there that that's coming up too. That's all I got.
Any questions of either Buddy or Stephanie? Okay. Next item is action items, and we'll walk through some of those. On group item 1, 3, and 5 about topic of language, establishment of land use, or owner engagement. Really didn't get any comments from any of you, so I'm going to just close out those action items unless there's something we need to talk about.
I think there is something that we need clarification on the language piece. I'm actually working on that, so I can, let's just change that to say, frame the language usage, and I'll take that as an
Okay,
action.
you can have that one to do that, but as far as land use, we'll talk about that a little bit here, and owner engagement, we'll talk more about that as we start talking about website out there, so.
You didn't get any comments?
Even after I send out a second one,
Because I said comments, certainly I don't even get.
I didn't get
You didn't get my email?
comments, I didn't get any comments on these specific 1, 3, and 5.
Yeah, we all, I certainly, I
I
think
saw Patricia's, I saw hers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to, let's hear what, do you remember what you said? We can have it
That was yesterday, come on. Brain dump every night.
No, I was just supporting that we need to get out and talk to the various groups,
I'll get out, okay.
particularly people like, say, Frank Lemons or other people. As far as I'm concerned, Frank's a legend editor, but somebody ought to go talk to him and see what's going on. Just as comments come out, we need to engage people.
Okay.
That's how we find out what they really want.
Patricia?
Oh, good Lord. But anyway, I think most of the language we've seen being used now is all over the place and intertwined. Examples, stakeholders, POA, staff, board of directors. Each entity uses a different word to express almost the same thought. When a definition change is necessary, all of us, POA, board, staff, property owners, and all committee members should use the same word or phrase. The phrase land usage has been changed to growth community development. Is that correct?
The land use committee is going to be called growth/community development.
Right, okay. Our language should be simple, positive, and consistent.
Okay. And that's one, Nikki, you want to take that, you're going to work on language,
work on language.
add that into language then.
Right.
June 8th. No, it's okay, got it.
Did you want land use and owner engagement?
Yeah, why don't you just, we'll take your comments. Nikki's got it called up here, and she'll work those into the action item then.
Okay.
So she's got it right here.
Oh,
Yeah, we got that.
I'm on the internet right now, I can see it.
oh, okay.
And Marie's as well.
Yeah, so we got both all those comments. Okay, so we'll add those comments in, and we'll keep that open on the
Nikki
comments.
to tell you what you said. No.
Okay, there's too many minutes flying around here. Got the legal, email, the type of stuff there. They had what Jody brought up at the second meeting. We're going to talk about the mission statement here shortly. Okay, develop a CMP executive summary document. We've been discouraged from doing that because of trying to do the synopsis here. To go back in and try to synopsize this, spending all the time there. I open that up for comment type of stuff there. Unless someone, I mean, it was just saying that there's probably other things this committee could be working on, trying not to just do an executive summary of this.
Because one already exists with that moving forward version.
With moving forward and all the publications that went out, we have to go back in and track the publications to get those back out there and highlight them. And this is another thing, as we tie into the website, we can relatch some of those back up to the our newer website, because you're going to see a website change from the CMP.
Leslie did a really good, about 5-page summary,
Yeah,
and I think that's
what we kind of said. Let's go back. We have all these documents. Let's just link them back.
a pretty good summary of what's in it.
Yeah.
There's so much in it that you can't summarize so many.
And that was kind of the thought process. We have all these printed documents out there. Let's just make sure we're using what we already have. We paid for them.
And then stress the ones that we included that go forward and which we allow.
HSV community update, CMP advisory committee, you can keep that one open. I talked with Cindy Erickson, and Buddy, you can follow up, type on this one. It looks like October. There's the first time that the board will hear from us. That's what she kind of told me. So as we start working on stuff today, keep in the back of your mind, the first time we make a formal presentation probably be October. So how that fits into their schedule and everything else, so work that out. Exploring options for the CMP website webpage, that actually, we'll talk about that. We have that. And then our education and planning and the draft a shorter version, you can close those out because those fit into our education committee and fit into any questions on any of those? So those action items. Okay, old business. First one is the CMP education moment. Okay, for the committee members, here's your question. It's a true-false question.
We have a 50-50 shot.
You got 50-50 shot. You always get this coin out. Only CCI can replat properties in Hot Springs Village. Tom?
I don't know, I read it, but I don't know.
Okay. Only CCI can replat village.
I'll go true. Why did you go false?
You want false?
I'll go false.
False?
I'll go true based on what Jody said at our last meeting.
Okay.
False.
False. Okay. Anybody in the audience? How many trues I got there? So everybody's saying you think it's true only CCI can replat?
No, it's false.
It's false. Okay? It is false. As far as the actual replatting in this village, and I'm going to give you a little bit of history. This is, if we took this through Saline County, the planning board, and I went and asked them who can replat, talked to the Saline County attorneys, just using it as an example. They do not, they do the initial platting of any reserve property or the properties, CCI does with the planning boards of each county. Once it gets platted, any of the replatting due to anything that's went on out there has been, those rights, or I'd say rights, but those, that authority has now been vested in the POA. The POA is the actual replatting authority. However, it needs to be done in conjunction with several other agencies to get concurrence along the way. The POA cannot just go in and replat something. They have to work in cooperation with Cooper. That's an easement issue. So those all tie together. And then they have to work in cooperation with the subdivision or homeowners in that situation too. So the POA is actually the replatting authority, but it has to be done in conjunction, in cooperation with property owners that whatever area would be replatted, and Cooper for the easements. So does everybody understand that? Because, you know, the kind of when Jody said something a couple meetings ago, left us the impression that can't do it. Well, yes, it can be done, but it can't be done. It has to be worked out. So there are some things down the road. But I want to use that as an education moment because that's something that's very,
Keith, if Cooper says no, what happens?
then he still has the easement access of that.
So the answer then is maybe.
Maybe type of stuff. And now, go ahead, Rolland, because I want to bring something else up because it comes in another issue just popped up.
Who else in the community, when you say the subdivision, does that mean the entire subdivision or the people that particular land is going to be replatted or?
I would say it's a subdivision right now. So if you're a small subdivision, it's easier. You're not going to get 20 people. But you go out to your subdivision, which is Avila, I think.
Yeah.
You have a lot more property owners.
So can anyone veto it, or is it a majority, or?
I think it was one person.
Has to be 100%.
100%.
It has to be 100%.
100%.
So
It's tough.
It's tough. So again, it's not impossible, but I just want to make sure everybody understood on the committee that replatting is the POA's authority, but it needs to be worked in conjunction. The one thing I will throw out is anybody familiar with Guthrie versus the POA? Guthrie versus the POA threw another wrinkle in it, in that the folks who built the gravel road through how many lots of ours? 6 or 7 POA lots now have access to that and have court-ordered access through POA land. So I throw that out there because there are challenges now that the court potentially could get involved in any replatting down the road. That was one that just popped out. It's public record. It was 2 weeks ago, Buddy, it came out when they said, yep, that road.
This is up north there, or?
It's right over there.
Right over there?
Right over there.
Okay, yeah.
They go off of Danville Road.
Danville Road.
Right up into their property there. And they built a gravel road right through common property, through Cooper land, through one person's property, actual property owner. And the court gave them the easement to it. Easement for access. So I just want to use that as kind of the education moment today to say, so we all on this committee understand that idea there. Okay, next thing is on there, and there wasn't no discussion over the past month about the mission statement, but I'm just kidding facetiously there. Next item is finalize the CMP mission statement. A lot of good comments there talking about that, and I will kind of surmise kind of the comments there. So one big thing is that came out of the majority of the folks here is need to keep the word advised in there. Is that kind of what I'm getting from folks here?
Yes.
You need to keep the word advised in there because we are an advisory committee. So, some of the examples or the proposals had taken the word advised out there. So, as it comes forward today, the proposed mission statement for our committee was advise the POA on the successful implementation of the CMP for the benefit of HSV property owners. Any comments on that?
Can I move we adopt it?
Then go ahead.
I move we adopt that mission statement.
Okay, do you have a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate Nikki summarizing all the comments. You got all his comments back out there so that we could do that. So all those in favor of that proposed mission statement, please say aye.
Aye.
As a preparation, next month we'll work on goals and objectives. I didn't want to just keep plowing through that. Okay, Jody's not here. We'll continue with old business, the CMP recommendations and developer limitations. So when she's here in August, we can talk more about that. Old business item D, land use subcommittee. I think one of the things that came up was, what does land use really mean, and what is the connotation to it? And the recommendation was made that we change that subcommittee to say growth and community development. And kind of say that's a bigger lumper, kind of lumping it together. So that's why as we developed the subcommittees and did the liaisons, you saw growth in community development come out there. Because land use, just the connotation there, so. Any questions on that, why it was changed? But there's no heartburn on that. That's what will go forward, and as we divvy up the recommendations, so we divvied them up to kind of growth in land, community development out there. So. Okay.
Thanks for the change.
Okay. Old business item E, Nikki, it's yours.
Okay, Smokey. Last meeting, I did the presentation on project management, and I didn't do what I should have done, which was we didn't leave that session with a call to action. And there were several recommendations in that, and I would like to see if we can move forward down that path a little bit. So one of the things that we recommended was that we really needed updates to the implementation tables. There were several things that had 2018, 2019, 2020 dates. Granted, it was written 3 years ago, so those are out of date. So that was one recommendation that we've had and want to move forward on that. Second thing was we had talked about the concept of things that were ongoing and how there were challenges from managing and tracking those, when realistically we know that certain things are happening in each calendar year, each budget year, and therefore we really wanted to get down to the next level of granularity so that we could figure out and track that a little bit more closely. The third thing was that of the things that they are doing that are CNP project oriented, it would be nice to see if we could do just a broad stroke sizing of those efforts. Are they small, medium, large, what I refer to as t-shirt sizing? And that way we can kind of get an idea of capacity. Do we have the resources necessary? I mean, there's a ton of things that we would love to do. We just don't have the time, money, and people to do them. So if we had a bit of an idea of what that was, that would help Rolland and me to start putting some things together, some numbers together, so that we can figure out, do we really have that kind of resources required to do that? The fourth one was that our goal, Rolland's and mine, is to get together a schedule. So not only would we use the information from the 2018, 2019, the history, but moving forward, we're going into planning in 2020, so we really would like to get some information about what's happening, and we'll talk more about that when we talk into the concept of liaisons and how we can start gathering some information that will allow us to feed into. So we're putting that framework in place so that we can not only send information out, but also collect information in. That will help us from a status and tracking point of view. And the last one where we talk about is project management is really good. It's been around since the pyramids. They have a long history of success, but organizationally, companies and organizations like the POA really struggle a little bit for adopting project management, or at least going whole hog, feet first into it. So we thought maybe we would take a step back, and maybe this would be a good chance for us to make a recommendation to the POA that we would pilot a couple of mission critical to success projects where Rolland and I would really dedicate some time to those to make sure that they're successful, prove the concept, kind of figure out what we need to do to culturalize it, to make it acceptable, palatable for the various different teams, because we would like to ingrain that. Then we could move forward, and I think we could be successful and roll it out to the other areas. So having said that, I do have a motion that I would like to put on the table. Would you please pass this? The motion is that I think that our committee should make a formal request to the POA staff to provide updated information on the implementation tables and and as related to the O&M tables as soon as possible, so that we can get inputs that we needed, so that we could provide the inputs that the POA has asked us to do for the 2020 budget.
Do I second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Kind of the thought process here is to formally ask the POA for this from the committee, so we have to formally document what we're asking for. Really, we need to get whatever updates we can to the implementation tables and to the budget figures.
And I'm under the impression, having talked to staff and stuff, that they're willing to do this, and they want to do this. Is that correct?
Well, I think it's always been an expectation. You know, we haven't had a sit-down formal discussion about it recently, but no question that there are several sections of the CNP that are meant to be updated annually. that's one of them. The O&M tables certainly are another one of them. So, so yes, I think it's just understood. But I think it's fine to have the formal recommendation.
For my better understanding, can you just name maybe 3 or 4 things that you would think would be eligible projects, or would that be tipping our hand?
From the updates to the implementation table or something else? What are you?
No, it's just the select 5 CMP projects, and kind of one of my favorites, and this is probably, I mean, this is past history.
That's
is
different
the-
from this motion.
Okay, I may have passed you the wrong.
Oh, okay, no, maybe yeah, oh, you're right. I was looking at the thing that.
I'll get to that one.
Oh, okay, all right. So I totally misunderstood.
Never mind, okay.
Okay.
This is just to ask the staff to give us
Updates.
the updates.
Oh, okay, right. Okay,
There are
I agree with that.
271 of the recommendations,
Okay, I'm
and
fine.
originally, Rolland and I were going to just go ahead and see if we could tackle them and see if we could get them, and then it says, that is just not a good use of our time. There are so many more of them versus us, it would be, and they know more about it, so it makes more sense for them to give it to us versus us to go seek that information.
And the things that really need updating at the time.
The timing?
Number 2, who's the staff responsible? Because the staff's been adjusted around a lot. And those are the 2 of the things. There's a third, I can't remember what it is.
It would be nice to know what's done.
Oh, yeah, it's stats, whether it's done or in progress or whatever.
Okay, everybody understand what we're asking for? Stephanie, you understand what we're asking for?
I do.
Buddy, you understand what we're asking the staff
I'd
for?
like to recommend when y'all do something like this and print this up, that you have a copy that we could have.
Oh, we'd be happy to. This was our first attempt at that, so yeah, we'd be happy to do
Because,
that.
I mean, I'll be asked questions about this from the board too.
We'll sell you a copy. We gotta make some money here, so. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, formally asked of you, Stephanie.
Yeah. Okay. And then,
Okay, well, the other part of this, let me just give a short motion and have this second, I'll do a little discussion. I move we make a formal request to the POA leadership to select up to 5 CMP projects to be pilot projects.
I'll second.
Okay, a little discussion. As Nikki was saying, implementing a project management infrastructure will increase the confidence in successful projects. And Tom's got a copy of this, and I'll give this to Buddy. Successful project completion. But we recognize that it's a journey of many steps and will not happen overnight. One way we can develop a proof of concept that this approach will work is by choosing a small handful of projects to use as pilot projects. The project management subcommittee will work with and support the staff and team for these projects to their implementation. And so the basic idea is these 5 projects will be pilot projects. They're going to cross a lot of lines. I mean, all the, as you read through the implementation table, some of them will require marketing and land use and any number of other things. And so this will just be 5 projects that the staff selects.
Okay. Questions? Tom?
Yeah, go back to the same question.
Okay.
I guess an example of a project might be the Balboa Club. What to do?
Possibly.
And
Could be.
got any other kind of illustrated ideas?
The one beautiful project would be the pool.
Well, yeah, the pool, but that's,
Or would have been the.
it would have.
Would have been.
It would have been the pool, it would have been the pickleball, those are the type
Uh-huh.
of things.
But we still have, you have the Balboa Clubhouse, you have renovation projects, you have public works projects that potentially could be put out there.
Well, I was just wondering about a specific one because
Yeah.
the ones that were done are of a certain nature. They were big amenity projects. I view the Balboa Club as being that, and those are very obvious. I was just wondering, what other things that are...
Well, that's why the request is to go to the staff. and ask them.
Well, let me just say this. So as we update the implementation tables and as the budget starts to come together this year, I mean, staff, that's what we're doing. I mean, that's exactly what we're doing right now, and we're in the middle of it. So, I mean, in some ways, for 2020 budget, we already knew that it was going to be difficult for this committee to help inform that budget anyway. So, I mean, it's due in 2 weeks, you know, our budgets are due in 2 weeks. So we are way down the road on project assignments and what we're gonna be spending our time. Now, our directive is to prepare our budgets and our work plans based on our enterprise goals and the comprehensive master plan. So we're gonna be looking at that for our guidance and how we start to develop. So I would say it's almost gonna come to you without, it's almost gonna be there. You're gonna get it. Because it's going to be in our budget. It's going to be in our work plan that's going to be submitted to you. And so I'm not sure if I might be misunderstanding when you say a pilot. I mean, there's going to be a lot more than 5 projects probably in our 2020 budget that are going to be identified because, you know, obviously we have so many different departments and everybody's doing that. But what would you be looking to pilot it as? Are you talking about just in terms of project management? In terms of
To put that project management piece in place and bring it back out to us to say, does this make sense?
And organizationally to the staff to say, is this a way that makes sense to, you know, try to ingrain it as part of the discipline?
So I think one of the things, kind of like what you and I talked about, Nikki, is that the recommendation from the committee could be that we propose that the staff utilize this particular tool, right? A particular tool that is project management related, just as we have these other tools in our master plan book. Because I don't know how you can, I'm just not sure if we're getting close to the direction of staff compared to the.
What we're offering is that Rolland and I would be the project management gurus that could help support whichever projects that you choose. And ideally, they would be things that we really can't afford them to fail. So they need to make the numbers in terms of budget and schedule because there's so many other, it's a cascading effect. So we could help make sure that they're going to be successful.
We're not going to manage the projects.
Yeah, I was going to say, it feels a lot like the committee's getting close to management of the project.
We're going to provide
You're going to have somebody
this
that's an
support.
appointed project manager. And when I was project manager, I handled the staff, I had a scheduler, I had some other people that helped with that. And that's the kind of services we're offering. Whether it's a
Mentoring.
scheduling service or something
Coaching.
like that, just to support them, not to tell them what to do, but maybe to point out.
Be a sounding board
something
if they have some questions.
So I hear what you're saying, and so from my point of view here, I obviously cannot speak for Leslie or how she directs, because those people don't work for me. All of those different people, I can't speak for that. I can tell you that you're welcome to make the motion, and you're welcome to make the recommendation, and I can run it up flagpole, and if it hits, then fine. But I mean, you're gonna end up with, you will end up with a budget that has obviously lots of projects. It's just then, you know, at what level, or like you said, what mentorship level, how you want to look at that.
So maybe we need to modify this to say, to make it clear that we're not going to be the project manager of these projects, but that we will offer mentoring, coaching.
Well, I'm going to say it's mentoring and coaching. Again, what are we going back? We're trying to build a tool to give us, to show how these all fit together. When we want to talk about the project management, there's pieces, there's recommendations that all go, and some of them go across multiple projects.
Right.
That's what we're trying to do. If they just gave us the 5 projects, said, all right, is Balboa Club what we want, what recommendations tie into that type of project?
Here's the problem I've had. I've read the CMP a bunch of times, or parts of it a bunch of times, and it never occurred to me that the things coming out of it were project-oriented. Where the two come together is when I look at the enterprise goals, there are 17 of them, and there are probably 6 of them that I could say, those to me look like CMP related, or heavily CMP related. As I think Stephanie is saying, from the staff point of view, they've got projects coming out of their ears, but not necessarily would they say, this is CMP related, this is just my job.
Yeah.
So when we ask for 5 CMP related things, the first thing just sitting here is I look at these things and say, here are the 6 that I can pretty much identify as heavily CMP related. But each of them have problems. The Balboa Club is probably the cleanest example of a good, solid project. But after that, when I start reading these, I start to get a little crazy about that. So when I see the request to say select up to 5 CMP projects, that's where I get lost. Because I could think of one.
There are hundreds. We just don't have visibility, but it's not our job to have visibility. We're just offering a service
Right.
so that we could say, if you question whether or not project management will work for you, well, don't roll it out 100%. You know, not us to say do it anyway, but we're willing to sample it to see if we can prove the concept, and if it does, then maybe it makes sense to put it on some of the others.
Okay.
Just remember the word advisory,
Yes.
okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want there to be an assumption that we aren't using project management
True.
best practices, because I mean, when we have a big project, we definitely project manage it. You know, I thought there's lots of different ways, and obviously you guys have a specific skill set there, but yeah, I would just be careful. I would just be careful about it appearing that the committee is attempting to do any kind of project managing, and remind yourself to go back, like, how would I use that particular recommendation that you're doing to fulfill my charter? Like, what am I going to use that for in my informing the budget, or what am I going to use that information for in my report back to the board, or, you know, how would it?
Well, I think that's kind of the key, is we're trying to put the CMP into a project management format before we go and just blindly try to put everything in there. Let's see how it works out. We just, you know. Tommy, a perfect example, take Balboa Beach, say that's one. Here, let's go out and see what this produces before we go out and try to put 271 recommendations in there.
This comes from us recognizing what Tom's saying. There's a lot of unrelated things in there, and there's a lot of things to put together in such a complex puzzle that you can't take 271 things and interlock it.
And to be fair, this is a 30-year initiative, so not all of them are happening now, but we're building those blocks through time that build on each other, so. That's the offer, that's the discussion.
Murray, any thoughts? Family, any thoughts?
I think it's a good plan.
Can I hear the motion, please? I guess I can read it for myself.
I make a motion, we make a formal request to POA leadership to select up to 5 CMP projects to be the pilot projects.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, Stephanie.
I'm
last.
opposed.
You're opposed, Murray? I'm opposed. So that Murray's.
Okay, and then the final thing is, Stephanie and I have been working on that. We have the implementation tables. It's clear that they do need to be updated, but if we're going to update it, we might as well make it. Are there any changes that we could reasonably make that would make them more usable, keeping the long-term goal of this is one of the tools in our suite of tools? And so we've been working on some things that we think would be beneficial in terms of updates. And all of the updates, or proposed updates, would be to accomplish one of 3 goals. The first one is improve our ability to update. So as the staff are trying to update things, then we want to make it easy for them to gather information, get consistent information. The second one is there is an ambiguity. So as I mentioned in the presentation last month, I mean, when you have a recommendation that says refer to another recommendation, that is ambiguous. We need to clarify that. But we also have to have version control in terms of this is what it was before, and we've taken a closer look at it. This is what we now think it is, and so we have some kind of version control in place. And then the third objective is a recommendation is often very, very broad and very, very big, and really could encompass multiple projects over time. So it would be nice, especially putting on my project management hat, that we have a way to link any particular one project to a particular recommendation. So start creating that mapping, a relationship. Those are the 3 goals that we were trying to accomplish, and that's what we were talking about. So more on that.
In the golf course, you got Balboa car cash, you got this, you got, you just go on. Okay. Item F, marketing subcommittee update. Pam, all yours.
Ta-da! Okay, we spent a crazy afternoon before the 4th of July interviewing applicants for the marketing subcommittee. We got some amazing people. The interviews went really well. And from the applicants that we had, we selected 6 per the charter. Our goal was to have the group represent a variety of marketing skills, expertise, and experience, as well as representing the village in kind of different phases. So we have people that have lived here for a long time, and we have people that are new to the village. So we think that the group as a whole, it is going to be a really good, solid resource, and I'm very excited about it. The people that have been selected are Nancy Ornelas, and I'm probably mispronouncing her name, but Nancy is relatively new to the village. Chuck Miller, Ray Lehman, who is also relatively new to the village. Dan Elward, who is not new to the village, but many of you probably know Dan too. David Lagan, who is relatively new to the village, and Chuck Albert. So those are our 6. And other people that applied and had additional skill sets, hopefully over the course of our meetings and our tasks, will be drawing on their expertise as well. And I've encouraged other people that have stepped up recently and said, oh, I didn't apply, but I've taken down their names, made note, and hopefully will be making use of their skill sets also. So that's the group.
Any questions from the committee? Like I said, Pam said, it's a mix of old and new. And just like we have some people who are, Nikki's relatively new to living here in the village. We brought in, some people that step right up. And Nancy was still in boxes. She was still in boxes.
She's been here less than 3 weeks.
Less than 3 weeks, but she comes out of a organization where she basically retired and moved here. And
So her marketing skills are very current.
So we're very fortunate that several people did step up that just have recently retired out of the marketing or sales or marketing community to come in and then then we have some, I don't want to say stalwarts, but Chuck's here, been around for a while, but can bring more of the village, out there too, that've been here and stuff like that. So people show up the first week, they can go in a lot of different directions. Sometimes some of the older folks, an older village, need to kind of say, well, wait a minute here, let's kind of not go off on this tangent too fast. There's stuff. Again, thank you for all the other folks that did interview out there, and now Pam's got a subcommittee and time to get to work. So.
No meeting date yet, right?
Next week.
Next week. So they have their task and the way they go. Okay, anything else from marketing you want to talk about?
No, not right now. Hopefully we'll have more to talk about next time.
Okay. Okay, item G is CMP and CMPAC webpage update. Nikki and Pam have been working on this one, so you got something you want to show there, Nikki? Or?
Actually, can I stop here just for 1 second? Open meeting policies, we need to release that. So I need to probably get that in the digest today. That's a meeting.
Oh.
I have to give you a date today. Forgive me? Okay, I will.
Or if you don't, you have to give it to me in time to get an email notification out to our community. So
We'll get it. I'll get it. All right, close of business.
Okay. Who's talking? Pam? Pam's with Nikki.
Wait, Nikki.
I'm trying to get ready, so go start telling.
All right, just a second. Let me pull out my notes. All right, so Nikki and I spent quite a bit of time, and we spent time with Stephanie, we spent time with Keith, talking about the website. And the CMPAC actually appears on 2 different pages on the website. And so it's those 2 pages that we specifically looked at and talked about. When you pull up the website, and I'm trying to pull it up, I can see it here, but why isn't it projecting there? Hello? When you pull up the website, initially, there is, the very first tab is vision. The vision page now, as it appears, is outdated. It talks a lot about the CMP process, what was done, how things were done. That information obviously is outdated. So we don't want to just eliminate it. For some people that will be important. It's important to archive it. So we talked about how to do that archiving of much of that information. But then some of it's still current too. So we'll want to put it somewhere where it's easily accessible, and that somewhere is on the CMPAC portion of the website. Let's see, what else do we have? Then the second web page under governance on the website is a list of all the committees, and the CMPAC is one of those committees obviously listed. That page will, in essence, become its own website. So that will be a resource page. All the outdated information from the past CMP activities and process will be archived. There'll be a little thing that just says archive, and you can click on that and see everything that's there. So we'll archive that information, but then we're also going to be providing a lot of additional information. And we've created a sitemap that hopefully
Pop up.
we'll be able to pull up and show you exactly what we plan to have on that page. You have the sitemap. I'm working on it.
Talk slower.
But if you didn't know,
That's the webpage,
I don't talk very slowly. I'm having trouble here. Hang on. Just sit here and visualize, explore the village, discovery packages. I'm going to blame it on Nikki.
Yep, blame it on me. I have big shoulders. It's not my fault.
No, I'm stalling because I could talk you through the sitemap and you'll go. I'd rather you see it. It will be clearer if we can get it up.
You're getting it? Okay,
Yes.
so.
Are you all familiar with a sitemap for a website? Are you familiar with that term? Yes?
Not right now.
Okay.
If I can spell, X. No, I don't want to go all the way there. Okay, so. Vision, comprehensive master plan. All right, I'm ready, talk.
Okay, so start scrolling, because one of the challenges with this is that you scroll and scroll and scroll, and one of the first rules of a website is you don't scroll any more than you absolutely have to. And if you look, it's just, it's a pretty good conglomeration of different types of information, all related to the CMP.
Pre-adoption.
Thank you.
Pre-adoption, yeah.
Yeah. So some of those pieces are still relevant to what's going on today. Others are relevant to the approval process and how that all came to be. So we're going to separate them out.
And then we have our committee website.
All right, so under governance, committees, then you have the CMPAC, which is pretty bare bones. Not too exciting. So we're going to work on that. We're going to add hopefully some graphics. And
I'll get it.
that's okay. All right, there we go. Thank you. So this is the homepage of the CMPAC, correct?
Yes, vision.
So I'm going to pretend I'm pointing things out to you, but actually I'm reading them because I didn't bring my glasses and I can't see a thing. So sorry about that. So the majority of the information is outdated, content's relevant. But what we, bye. Yep. Yep. So this is the original Vision homepage. Our recommendations were to remove all of that pre-approval content and archive it. Replace it with marketing content that's really more appropriate for a prospective property owner that wants to know, hey, Hot Springs Village, what's it all about? What is their vision for their future? So that's what we'd like to have on that vision portion of the main homepage. And then provide a link right there to the CMPAC committee website so that then they can drill down if they choose to do that. But we want to keep the two separate. We want one that appeals to a prospective buyer or that interests them, and then the other that really fills the information that property owners here would want to see. Does that make sense? So our committee site, we want to put,
Which one do you want? You want this
oh,
one?
this is the current one. So as you can see, it's pretty broad. There's a short brief statement. Can you guys see this in the back? No? All right, so right now it says, the Comprehensive Master Plan Advisory Committee is advisory in nature and contributes to the Comprehensive Master Plan's overall annual budget prioritization and progress reviews. So we'll change that to our mission statement as we go. Committee members are, and then there's just a list of our names. There's a link to email the committee chairman. It identifies the board liaison, Buddy, and the staff liaison, Stephanie. Then you can click and see the committee charter, project management presentation that was done at our last meeting. Then the agenda and the minutes for previous meetings as well. And then the CMPAC marketing subcommittee charter. There will be a link to that also. So that's what's there now. And then can you click to our site map? Da-da-da. Doesn't this look better? You can't read it, but it looks better. So our site map takes us here. We would have the CMPAC homepage, mission statement, and then meeting info on that main first page. From there you could go to About Us, and About Us, it would identify the committee members with short, really short 2-sentence, 3-sentence bios about each of us, maybe a picture. The organizational structure of the CMPAC with the subcommittees and everything else. Then a link to the charter, and then a contact us link. Then there'd be the CMPAC objectives for the current year, and then accomplishments. Then POA objectives, recommendations for the current year, and recommendations from previous years. This is already existing on the homepage, and we'd like to have that updated. It's a good way. It says 2019, 2020, and 2021. That was really done in 2018, so it's next steps. But it just bullets some of the activities and the recommendations. Then one of the other really important elements of the site would be an FAQ. So people can, and what we would do would be to take questions that were submitted earlier, actually, in the process. Take those, make those up there, questions as they come in now, put them up there, so that people can see what's going on, how things have progressed, and they can ask questions, and we'll post them up there and answer them. Then we go to the documents. So archived planning documents. This is mostly the things that have been archived, the videos, the presentations, and then the CMP itself, a link to the various sections, rather than, no way are we going to post them up there, we'll just link them so that people can actually go and see them. So it's a lot of information that we're putting out there, but we're trying to put it out there in a very clean, easy to figure out way. You want to add?
Questions of Pam or Nikki?
What do you think about adding under your CMP tab there, or additional one that's the protective covenants? Because the protective covenants actually are a part of it.
Part of it.
Are they already somewhere else?
Yeah, they're already under.
They're under vision.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can always link back to it so that we don't have it stored in multiple places.
Okay, they said they're under vision, so.
Well, they're under vision, but they're also under ACC. They're under vision and under ACC. They're under vision because like all that stuff still lived out there, but the master, I mean, yeah. Like I said, it could link to both. It could link to
For the committee members, I know this is probably like, whoa, what's going on type of stuff. There's a lot of information there. I'd ask you to, and Tom put this down as a kind of an action item there, provide inputs. Go back and look at this and kind of say, all right, what would you want on a website? Type of stuff there. So that, just look at that. I mean, Nikki and Pam have kind of scoped this out and say, oh, here's what we got. And I would say for the folks in the audience, send us an email. If you think something else needs to be on there in the CMP AC website, send the committee chair an email so I can forward it off there, because again, we're trying to make this we're a brand new committee, but we're trying to make this interactive and worthwhile for not only committee members, but for the community. So that if you don't come to one of our meetings, there's information out there. So,
And in case it's not clear, the color coding is that each color represents a different page, for what it's worth.
And a tab.
but this is our way also to engage the owners, engage the property owners here via website. This is technology type of stuff.
I guess my experience is the most valuable thing is a powerful search engine. And the one that we have now isn't very good. That finally comes.
Any other questions, thoughts, comments?
Chuck?
I like the idea a lot. I hope, and you probably are, thinking about this as a template for other committee websites as well. It'd really be nice to upgrade all of them to this level.
We'll worry about us first. You got work to do on the marketing subcommittee. So. Well, yeah, this is kind of how can we better engage out there.
I think it's a good point though, Chuck. I do.
Yeah.
It's good to have consistency across all of those. When you click on, whether it's you're clicking on recreation or golf or this or anything else, it'd be nice to be able to kind of have a consistent theme going.
So the new person that started July 1 is the marketing committee's
Liaison. The Chief Member Experience Officer, Jamie Caperton, is the staff liaison to the marketing subcommittee.
Okay.
Stephanie's to the overall committee, but she's specifically for the marketing subcommittee. So that will be kind of explained out there too.
As well as Cheryl Dodson.
And Cheryl Dunson, from Village Homes and Land.
Is there any way to get a complete org chart on the website so that, so the property owners would know, CEO, who the directors are, who's under each one?
That's just not part of this committee.
That's not part of us, but it's some stuff in there.
I'll make a note.
I thought there is an org chart.
I thought
There is an org
was-
chart there,
Yeah.
because it lays out the new organization, and it had a picture of what last year's organization was, and it took it to this year's
Okay, I just
organization.
haven't found it.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember where it was in there.
It's always in the budget.
Very bottom of
It's in the budget because it's approved at that same time.
So, but it's out there, because that's where it lays out through the chief member experience office, who all the people report to her.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions on the website?
So that new member experience officer, she is, and she does have a whole bunch of people under her, but there's a couple blanks in there on that flow
Yes.
chart across.
On her, yeah, a couple blanks. One of them is probably pretty key to the marketing subcommittee, because the community development, marketing person there. Okay, it's 2 o'clock, and I've been told by my committee members it's break time.
I'll break.
So we'll take about a 5-minute break for the committee members there.
I'm writing, you're the scribe, right? I'm scribing and you're managing.
Okay, folks, we're going to go ahead. One of the things we, every quarter we do a SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities, threats. We've chosen to do this on marketing as we launch our new marketing subcommittee. So we're going to do a SWOT here, and I'll turn it over to Pam, since this is going to influence her subcommittee out there.
It's going to make our job easier because you're going to do it for us to start. Wait, I need a box of my vodka. Okay, so we're going to do the first SWOT on print media. Print as a marketing tool. So let's start with strengths. What are the strengths of print media?
Pam, let's do the committee, because the committee is the one that's asked to do this first.
Oh, and then we let them do it.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
I was going to be nice. But
Yeah.
you can be mean, that's okay.
So just as a tool, we're going to do the SWOT, but we're going to be focusing on marketing channels, and there are 3 primary marketing channels, which we've divided so we can have each one of them, and we'll kind of just do them all simultaneously. This is a new technique where we're doing 3 in 1. Print, digital, social, and you're going to tell us the examples of each so we make sure we know.
All right.
Okay, a strength of print right now is we have some very good glossy brochures. Would you look at some of our brochures?
Great.
You know, they went out, they've done them professionally. So that's a strength of our print right now.
All right.
Can I take a step back?
Sure.
We're talking specifically about the customers being people who we wish to become property owners.
Yes.
Well-
Good point.
Remember, Tom,
Yeah.
we market externally,
Yeah.
but we also market internally.
Right.
All right,
That's
we're
the-
going to do
that's the
this
point
one
I'm trying to
on
make,
yeah.
external only.
Okay, so that's what we need to
That was the point I was trying to
Okay.
make.
Good, thank you, Tom.
Okay.
Thanks for the
I
clarification.
want to make one further subdivision, which I find personally fascinating. Everybody in this room pretty much lives here. We're property owners, we live here. We also have the external people who come and visit, we sell them stuff, we try to entice them to spend money, golf, whatever. We have this gray area of property owners who don't live here, and some of them eventually think about living here, but a whole bunch of them own property, they write us a check every month for $38 or whatever, but I think they have no intention of moving here. And so that's this fuzzy gray area that,
As far as an audience that we're marketing to?
that the problem is I don't think we're marketing to them.
Okay, so that's.
All right, so let's narrow it down then to prospective buyers,
Right.
okay?
And so
But
anybody who's a property owner, whether they want to live here or not, they're not in this analysis. We're just talking about
Prospective
prospective property owners. Are we
Right.
also talking about people who we just want them to come here and spend money, golf. And because that's a source of income.
Well, I think we're trying to figure out, when we were talking about doing it, marketing is just so broad, what area do we want to focus in?
Right.
And we decided we'd focus in on specifically marketing channels, not
Right.
target markets,
Okay.
but marketing channels. We have 3 primary groups. We could market through print media, we could do digital, and we can do social. So if we have these channels, if we understand the strengths and weaknesses of those, then your committee can move forward on that. Is that?
I understand.
Can I offer something just real quick? It strikes me that we're back to focusing on how we're going to market, and we've skipped back over the why and what and who we're marketing to. What kind of what you were saying?
Okay.
Are we jumping ahead to the how, and we skipped it again? You know, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and no, we
Well, that's a
haven't
weak, that's
skipped it, that's,
a
I know.
weakness right now on any of our print, digital, or social, is who are we marketing to? You can go and put that as a W for each of these.
Okay. So
Who
and
are
that
we
was-
marketing to?
Okay, and so that was going to be my thing for minute. Is this, are you like existing print that we currently have, or like future, like what would be the benefit, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, to
No,
make
current-
more digital, more print, more, you know what I'm saying? New or old?
Is that what you wanted to say, Keith?
Yeah, I mean, no matter what media, who are we focusing on? That's a weakness.
Okay.
and Stephanie, to your point, I don't think of it as jumping ahead. We needed to do basically an overall marketing SWOT. What exists now? What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? Just as kind of an overview. But as we go into the marketing subcommittee, where we're actually going to start is kind of what have we done in the past? Okay, so this is what we've done. This is what has been successful or not been successful. Then here we are today. What is our market today? Who is our market? And when we get that figured out, then we have a lot of other pieces. Okay, so what's the most effective way of reaching these people? What are they, how are they buying? What are they buying? How do we reach them? Then, you go through the whole process. Then what is our budget for reaching them? What's the most effective way to do this? What do we have to spend? So it's a whole process. This is just a piece out of the process. Okay?
Makes sense.
Is that good? Even if it doesn't make sense, can we do it anyway?
Well, for sure.
Rolland had one.
Yeah, money,
Money, what about money?
not enough.
Not enough.
Limited budget.
It's across the board.
Correct?
Well,
Limited budget across the board,
I think that print is by far the most expensive, right?
yes.
So as a weakness, it's
Probably
Very-
print and
Very expensive.
very expensive.
Yeah.
Give it 3. Digital, is there a money component to that?
yeah, because if you
Yeah.
pop something up on, you still have to pay something to get your little ad in there. When it
But-
pops up on Facebook or something, someone's paying
That's
something.
not digital, that's social.
Social, yeah.
Digital is website, just to help you guys better. So that's maybe like $1 sign?
Okay, $1 sign here.
Just
Put 3 or 4 more dollar signs
3 or
over
4
there.
more here. Okay, there's 3 more. And then how many
Okay,
more
and over here, put a $1 sign.
Okay, $1 sign.
Got it. Does that work? Are you guys comfortable with that?
All right.
All right.
The committee needs to do it, sorry.
All right, so let's go back to strengths. Print. Print media,
Shelf life.
shelf life.
Is that a positive or a negative?
Can be both, depending on what print is.
Well, from a positive point of view, it is something you can hold.
Take to the bathroom.
As a negative, there may be a limited
Put in
shelf life.
parentheses under their bathroom.
Or library maybe.
Library, okay, that's better.
It's easier.
It could theoretically become outdated, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Can we go back to print?
We're going to stick with print for just a couple minutes unless we get something else.
Since I don't know exactly what we're talking about, are we talking about like one advertisement or like a whole?
An ad in a magazine?
Yeah, I mean, if it's an ad in a magazine, it's easily lost. If it's a whole just Hot Springs Village brochure, that's something else.
Something you print
Anything.
or gets
Could be
printed in a magazine.
Could be an article in a magazine.
Right. Well, yeah, like I said, with an article in a magazine might get lost. I mean, if you go to a visitor's center and it just says Hot Springs Village, there's probably a great degree of control we have over those. Well, I guess control is probably a strength of print media.
Well, I think that.
You know where it's going.
Yeah, one of the threats for sure is that it can quickly become outdated. I think that's more of a threat because you're like you said, you've paid, it's there, it can be sitting in someone's house or on a shelf somewhere, and you pick it up and it's old. It's got old
It
data.
has, golf is free.
Right.
Still, and someone picks that up and it says, well, golf is free here. Well, it hasn't been free for, 20 years.
And how often is it, the magazine's in your doctor's office, 16 years old, but we still have advertisement in there?
Yeah,
Possible.
magazines are a passing thing too. I mean, you put an ad in and it runs out 1 month. And then half of them are gone, so it's kind of a one-off thing.
It goes back to that shelf
It
life.
doesn't have a lot of, shelf life doesn't have a lot of staying power.
Is that a
I think
threat or a
it's-
weakness?
Well, and Rolland's point, I think, that the weakness is that just seeing an ad once is virtually worthless.
Yeah, so
So you have to be repetitive
Limited
again and
series.
again, get the same message again and again and again.
Okay, another threat on print is it's going away with the generation. I do not get magazines like I used to get magazines.
Or you get digital versions of those
I get
magazines?
digital versions and they have a different advertising scheme in them. You don't get the same advertising. You don't get the big page ad. You get maybe a little flyer. So that's a threat to print in that, I say it's a threat of print in general, and I think this is across the nation, that print advertising is having challenges.
It's going away, or appears to be going away anyway. All right, what else? What are some opportunities for print?
To go
It's a little
digital.
scary, isn't it?
Yeah. There's an opportunity not to be print, is that the option?
Well, I think the opportunities to print are smaller, more concise type of efforts.
You go to a conference and you have something to hand to them or something like
Yeah,
that.
something smaller like that versus this.
Tangible.
It's easier, it's tangible, and the other thing is it's easier to deliver a very focused message. So in a specific magazine that goes to a specific readership, you can have a very focused message.
It's like ideal living. Ideal living is a focused area where, do we want to put something in print in ideal living?
Or golf for the golfer.
An opportunity it is in earned media. So if, for an example, like our article in Southern Living was an article where they called us and they said, talk to us about your what you guys do there, and we earned that media. So it's printed, it's an article, it costs us very, very little, and in fact, it costs us nothing. And it had a very broad reach. Because
That is a really good, that really is good.
So I think
Earned opportunity is good.
Maybe something like a brochure or glossies and stuff like that can be passed along. So if I know it and I'm talking to somebody else wants to ask about it, something I can use to talk about, and being somebody that's a prospective home buyer, I say I got it at a trade show. They ask, what about Hot Springs Village? You say, well, I remember kind of this, but here you've got something to say, well, look here, here's, so it can be passed from, other people can chain market it out, I guess.
I think one of the weaknesses, personally, is that there's no call to action. Generally speaking, giving somebody a brochure, we don't have contact information. There's no feedback loop unless they choose to somehow contact us. So it's not like we can go and market further from them because we don't have a call to action per se.
Well, there's no click through.
That's a different type of call to action because in most of the ads, yes, there is,
Go
So
visit us.
contact us, whatever. So there's a call to action there, but it's a different kind than you're thinking. What you're thinking of is a way to collect data.
It's a more difficult tracking.
So is that a weakness or a threat that we have difficult tracking? I'm thinking it's internal, so it would be a weakness?
I think it's a weakness.
Difficult to
Not
track.
many magazines will
It's like
share their
difficult to track lead
subscriber
generation.
lists.
Okay, what else? Any other additional strengths?
About it. One other thing, I just happened the other day to be paging through a magazine, 50, I was talking to Stephanie about, 50 best places to retire. And they had a short blurb on us. But all these other people had ads in there, big ads and things like that. And I went page by page trying to see if we had anything in there. And it's easy to get lost in the noise. You could have an ad and get skipped because there's about 10 different ads that are just like you. It's hard to differentiate yourself in some of those from all the others. I don't know how you say that in short, but you understand what I mean?
There's competition, I think, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, a lot of competition, and we get lost among all that competition with all these people who have ads. And more money to post for more often.
Yeah, they have more money spending at it than anything else.
Okay, now I'll open up the audience really quick. Anybody got something to think, Marcy?
I was going to say, unless you have a very extensive article, on us and something, the best thing to do is to get the balance between the shelf life, meaning is it a monthly magazine, a quarterly magazine? There are some annual kind of coffee table magazines. in some
Is this a
industries.
strength, a weakness?
Yes.
Or
It's a strength. It's a strength. Because then you're always trying to get that back page. So for the shelf life of something that like is a directory, it's an annual thing. You get the back page, there's a 50% chance that your page is going to be seen every time it gets put down.
And Marcy, how would you word that as a strength? In 10 words or less?
The possibility of long shelf life and 50% chance of our ad being viewed every day, all day.
But you're referring mostly to the resources, though, annual directory type of thing versus?
An annual, or then you could, you go down to quarterly. It's not something you do for a weekly magazine or
Yeah,
anything.
it's once a year, and it sits there.
It's kind of an opportunity because really the opportunity is in choosing wisely the publication. So for example, we advertise in the Little Rock Guest Guide and we advertise in the Hot Springs Guest Guide, which are annual publications. They're in every hotel room and you're going to get a lot of views and they're there for a long time.
But if you
So it has much broader reach than the one-off.
And then if you get the back page, that's the opportunity. That's
Yes, sir.
Back page.
Okay.
Many more views.
Yeah.
Well, like Facebook, for instance, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's social. We're going to get to that.
Okay, but the reason is, there's certain things that you can go to, like Discovery, okay? Or Travel Trivia. They're always posting information throughout the United States about things. 10 best cities to retire, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. People look at that more than they do a magazine.
That's why I bring that up on social. Next
So
thing-
is there anything else on
Yeah,
print?
anything else on print?
Weakness,
Go ahead,
strength?
There's going to be a pickleball tournament in a couple of weeks. Every person who comes should have a brochure while they're here, seeing how wonderful it is. In print. Take it home with you, throw it away, whatever you're going to do with it. You have a captive audience, they're expecting.
So that's a strength, and then it's a strength of print when a captive audience is here. Okay, is that so? Can I synopsize that? Say, it's a strength that when you have a captive audience.
Is that different from something to hold if we just?
Well, that's it, it's just saying bring it into a captive audience, captive audience, whether it's pickleball or it's
That's the same.
golf or some type of stuff.
It's basically the same thing.
Okay, just less the bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay,
And it's also great glossy.
Let's move on to digital. You guys are never gonna get done here. And
Okay.
Is it dinner time yet?
Okay,
Yeah.
so digital is website,
Banner ads.
e-newsletters, things like that.
Easily updated.
I'm sorry?
Easily updated.
Okay.
Has to be constantly updated.
That's a weakness.
That's a weakness.
That's an opportunity.
I don't think that, I'm not sure that's a weakness.
I think it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Well,
Let's say
The reason
must be
why,
updated from
that
a-
can't be updated easily.
To remain contact, to remain
So-
current is an
From a
opportunity.
manpower point of view, it's something you have to take into consideration.
Okay.
But remaining current is an
So-
opportunity.
Yeah, so then the opportunity there is to be constantly current.
It's inexpensive. It's relatively inexpensive as a strength.
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 Personally, I think it allows us to be reactive. So for example, if something happens, we can be reactive and have a message on it. Like, for example, the golf courses in Little Rock, we can be very timely.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. That's exactly right. It's an almost immediate. You can get a message out there just almost immediately.
As well as
Same.
proactive.
Same with social.
Okay? Sorry.
I'm not sure this is exactly where this fits in, but I'm going to throw out three names. Kemper Sports, Club Corps, which I understand that the Imani still has connection with and energy exchanges with, and Troon.
Okay.
Those are all three organizations. I guess we still work through, I don't know what Troon's status is, but all those are mostly listed on their websites and linked to it, aren't they?
So we
Our
have the ability
associations with these various.
links with other associations.
Yeah, or other.
And organizations.
And organizations.
Mhm.
Okay.
Opportunity is a much broader viewer base. I mean, there's much more.
Opportunity.
Much wider audience.
A wider, yeah, a wider audience.
If you only print out 100, your opportunity is 100. You put it on the website, who knows? Okay.
And the other, under opportunities probably is data collection.
For sure.
Ability to collect data?
Mhm.
Yeah, analytics.
Okay.
Any threats that anybody can think of as far as digital?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go
Go for
ahead.
it.
Oh, okay, so what's an opportunity is also a threat, always current. The threat is, if you don't keep it current, it's a negative. People view it as a negative. And I think another threat is that, or is it a weakness? I'm not sure. Weakness or threat? When you're doing something for print media, you proof it, you proof it, you proof it. You have many sets of eyes look at it before it goes out. When you do digital, generally, people will write something up and shoot it out. And so you...
It's a margin of error.
Yeah. You run the possibility of looking very unprofessional.
Less quality controlling.
Okay. What else?
Folks in the audience, anything?
Less focus group.
Okay, go ahead,
Less-
Murray.
Go ahead, Miranda.
Less of a focus group
effort than there is in print. It's sort of along the same lines of the proofreading and running it by a room full of people. You just don't take the time to do all that on digital.
So isn't that sort of under the quality control?
Sort of, yeah.
Kind of?
But the other thing I would say, whether it's digital as much as social, I'm not sure, but I personally am so overwhelmed with the stuff I get that I don't look at it. I hate it. And I go out of my way not to look at it.
Okay, so I think,
I think that's a threat.
a threat is
Information
information fatigue. Murray, what were you going to say?
Well, I need you to help me with the words.
Okay.
How in the digital world, say we put something on the website, how do you, and it gets back to the search engine thing, how do you make sure your stuff is being seen above others?
That's the SEO optimization option, which could be a strength compared to the others, is that you have that ability to do some SEO.
There are very specific things that you can put on your website, that you can do with your website to make sure that it is viewed more and comes up higher on the list.
Google retirement areas in the United States, how do we make sure Hot Springs Village jumps to the top? I don't know how to do that.
Yeah,
that's
but there
why
are
I'm
people
getting-
that actually specialize in exactly that. You're
Let's
right.
do some of
Yeah. Yeah.
But it can be a threat if your SEO is poorly managed, because you aren't, you can be spending all you want in digital, but if you're not getting seen, right? If you're not rising up, then it's a,
Yeah. And it's a challenge. I mean, it's as basic as, excuse me for saying this, but who's going to search on Explore the Village?
Yeah, nobody.
So it gets down to really basic things like even your URL.
And if I just put the village, I immediately go to New York City. So if you or
The
Florida,
villages.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, that's the villages, but if I say the village, it usually.
Yeah.
Okay, we got anything else on digital that we need to throw up there?
This applies to all of them. How do you judge the effectiveness of, bang for your buck?
Well, you do have data metrics that you can collect, so I guess that would be an opportunity. Available data metrics.
How we
You already have data, it's already there.
Yeah, like Google Analytics.
Well, ability to, I think there's two pieces. I think ability to collect information like your name, your contact information, so that we can be proactive, and then how many site clicks did we have, how many people activated. I think there's two pieces. Do you want to group them together or separately? What's most valuable for you?
Do it separately.
Okay.
Yeah, because the analytics really give us different types of information than just collecting their name, address, and phone number. The analytics tell us what pages on the website were visited the most often, how long did people stay on that page, what were they reading. So that's very important information as well, totally separate from name, address, phone number.
Okay, let's move on to social so we don't.
So now we're talking Facebook, we're talking
Instagram.
Like there's, you can do
See
it
where we
for
put
zero if you
$1
want
sign?
to.
Yeah. Why did we do that under weakness?
Well, because
Under one.
It's less than the other.
there.
Good deal.
Okay,
right,
the
what
threat
else?
is, once something gets on there, it's hard to get it off.
That's true.
That's a threat.
It's difficult to control the message because you have abilities to comment.
Is that a threat?
That's
or-
absolutely a threat.
I think that,
That's
yeah.
a threat.
That's
Yes.
a threat.
So, yeah.
You
How
can
do I
put
word
the-
it again?
yeah.
Negative comments.
Yeah.
Difficult to
Negative
control the
comments.
message.
Yeah. It can work exactly opposite of the way you're intending it
You
to
can put a
work.
nice little ad up there for Hot Springs Village, and someone will say, we'll share it, and then someone else starts putting something else there.
It can
like,
turn into a
we
negative
have,
completely.
But it could be an opportunity when something goes viral and it's a positive.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, when it's a positive thing that goes viral, yeah. That's the challenge.
I think that one of the things that, and I don't know where to put this, is if we're going to have a Facebook site, a Instagram account, there should be some person or team that's the moderator, administrator to kind of monitor appropriate, inappropriate.
We have that, don't we, with our,
Yeah, but I mean, you're right, like staff capacity is
Yeah.
always going to be in anything that you do, if you don't have either the right people or enough people, it can be a weakness or a threat.
To admin and monitor?
I think one of the strengths is that we keep talking about our best salespeople are the village residents, the property owners, and social media can actually get everyone involved and reaching out.
The ability to put testimonials in there.
Well, more than that, it's the ability to be multiple salespeople, the ability to get the message out from multiple people in multiple ways.
The grassroots.
That's a good way.
And when compared to the others, you can be dynamic. You could have videos.
I was just going to think of video too. Yeah, video's a big deal. YouTube, because YouTube is social media. Really, it's not digital.
Okay. Any other opportunities? External, positive?
no one in the audience has any more? Go ahead, Maxine.
I didn't. Wimbledon
Maxine.
is being played today on ESPN. Clampett's is advertising there, which shocked me. That's expensive. I don't know which bucket a TV ad would fall.
It's not very expensive. We actually, our ads are running right now too. I had it pop up on CNN, on my CNN newsfeed yesterday, as well as my USA Today newsfeed. The Village popped up. I don't know if anybody else has seen them, but it's actually very inexpensive because it's still digital. And so you can shoot it out there where you shoot it out to a company and you say, this is our ad, we have like 3 or 4, and they will pepper it like to 1,000 different sites. And it's just random. It's good because it pops up, and it's extremely random.
I think she was saying TV though.
Oh, you're talking TV ads?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm
They were
talking
on during
digital.
Wimbledon, plus they were on 5:30 news last night.
Clayton's Country Kitchen, no kidding. That's interesting.
Nice commercials.
When I'm thinking about emails, we have the ability to have a master list and then sub list that we could capture and have a targeted message. So when we talk, that would be digital, but I'm not, how do I word that to say that we can have the ability to do customized lists?
Yeah, you could call it targeted.
I was just going to, social is very easy to target.
Yeah.
You can boost posts in a very, very specific brand. Like when we go to Chicago Ideal Living, we will boost a Facebook post to the area codes of the Chicago proper area so that they see our ad and they know we're going to be in Chicago. Please come see our booth. So
that's
social's
social.
inexpensive, but it's the opportunity is for
Easy.
very
Yeah,
targeted.
opportunity, yeah.
I put it as an opportunity.
Opportunity.
Yeah, yeah. Targeted messaging.
Easy to target.
Target to, yeah.
Okay, anybody else got anything? Because we've been working on this for a while.
Because it's important.
I know it's important, but at the same time, we got you a starting point.
You do, thank
We
you.
got you a starting point, and that's what we want to get here. So, Tom, Patricia, anything?
I'm going to have
Murray?
pictures of it.
Okay.
Anyone else?
We'll get those typed up. Get them.
Where are those going to be?
We'll end
I'll
up in our
type them
minutes.
up.
They're going to end up in our minutes, just like the last SWAT ended up in the minutes. Still type them up, give them to Tom, and put them all in the minutes. That's why our minutes are, 5-6 pages now, so.
That's just for starting.
Yay, thank you.
Okay. Get the spaghetti chart.
Yep, I'll get spaghetti. Hold on. Now that we know that mine works.
Okay, now we're gonna talk about some nuts and bolts here. We're gonna be working, interfacing with the POA standing committees, as well as the nuts and bolts of how we're gonna stand up some of our own additional subcommittees, not as intensely working charters like we had to work with the marketing one. That's one of our subcommittees that's a little bit out there as far as I would say
highly visible.
Yeah, highly visible. It's a highly visible subcommittee out there. So out there. Okay, for committee members, you've seen the emails, you've seen all the stuff there. For the audience members, so what you're going to see on this spaghetti diagram as soon as Nikki gets it up is how we're going to organize. Yeah. Okay. First of all, our committee members are going to act as liaisons to the POA standing committees. So, it's been assigned up there. Architectural controls, Rolland, finance, when there is a finance committee. If there's a finance committee, will be Tom. Nikki's already with golf. Pam, you're government affairs. I think you can handle that one.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so Clint's going to be Lake Murray. I think you can handle public services. I know the liaison, it might be hard talking with the committee chairman there. They
might be traded.
Yeah, they might be arguing. Patricia, you got recreation and trails. So the key is to get with the committee chairman as well as the staff people that work for that, so we can start interfacing, because this is, as those liaisons, you're going to be tracking as the recommendations, where these recommendations stand. And these are some of the key things, are the committees and the staff there. So, there's the 271 recommendations out there. There's some areas that we just don't have standing committees for. So that's where we're forming our CMPAC subcommittees. One is project management that Nikki and Rolland are going to be on. That's already kind of stood up. Pam, we got your marketing subcommittee now stood up or identified. We talked about land use, growth and community development. Rolland, that's going to be you. And then Clint and Jody and myself and Calm. That one's going to be an interesting one. So that's going to be an interesting. And then once we get Clint and Jody back, that'll be some stuff out there. Communication, or the education and communication one, would be myself, Nikki, Pam, and Patricia. We'd like to kind of work with you. So when these two got here, I start talking about websites or something, and may ask you to say, this doesn't make sense. Here, I'm looking at it this way and going, this doesn't make sense. But it's our communications with the property owners as well as educating the property owners. So that's why I'd ask you to kind of give me that. I know one of the things you and Jim Zod's left, but he told me one of the things about when you talk about being on committee. I'm a normal villager and just want to be able to type of stuff there. And how you framed it, but it caught their attention. That brings us to say that we're communicating properly. We're not talking at this level. So, public safety. We used to have a public safety committee, but we don't have that anymore. So that's why I asked Murray, Tom, and Patricia to form that committee, because there's some recommendations out there about public safety to say, all right, what are those recommendations doing there? And then lastly, it'd be governance and economic development. And this is kind of a catch-all. There's a lot of board stuff. There's a lot of stuff that is going to be on hold on this one, but myself, Nikki, Clint, and Jody, there's going to probably be some interesting discussions there. How do we handle some of these recommendations? But that's how we're going to be organized. Everybody get an idea. We're going to be liaisons. If there's already a standing committee, you're a liaison to go work with and extract the information, to monitor, to get that out of those recommendations. And then for the other ones out there. Everybody, you got the Excel spreadsheet. Hopefully everybody got their Excel spreadsheet and has all the recommendations divvied up. Those 271 have been divvied up and assigned to either a POA standing committee, which you liaison with, or to a subcommittee. So the idea there is those are your babies to work, to kind of monitor. You're not doing the work. That's the key thing. We are not doing the work of the golf committee. We are not doing the work of the recreation committee. We are seeing where they're making progress on these recommendations.
And be a resource.
And be a, out there, but it's, you know, where there's a recommendation to do this, all right, where is the Recreation Committee working on that? Where is public, you know, service working on some of those recommendations? There's a ton of, you know, Murray, you got a ton of infrastructure recommendations. Well, where do they stand? Because that's what we ultimately will make advice, you know, hey, we're advising you that maybe this isn't, you know, you need to put a little emphasis here. They're going, well, here's why, because nothing's been going on recommendation 2.7.2- whatever. And that's an important thing out there.
But don't forget that those committees aren't making those decisions, like, I mean, they're,
Yep, they're staff, and that's why it's a staff and you know, working with both of them out.
That's important to say about the subcommittees too, that the subcommittees aren't doing the work. They're only making recommendations.
Yes, but they got collected data. They got collected data and they provide some advice.
Right.
So,
Because there seems to be some misunderstanding.
yeah, we're not out there trying to work a declaration change or anything. That's the board's responsibility. We just document to say, all right, here's what some of those are out there.
And I think that it's also important to note that we're not, Keith, I think, did an excellent job, thank you, for trying to do the initial mapping of the recommendations to the various committees. But there is a possibility we got it wrong. So one of the things as a liaison is to work with those people and get their concurrence or objection that, nope, that's not ours, and who should it be? Because we want to make sure we got the mapping as correct as we can. And also remember that they may be not working on something because it hasn't been approved yet, it's not on the priority list this year. Just because you have them, there may be some things that we are not taking any action on. We need to know that too. So, you know, again, you're a resource. You're not throwing anything down their throat, but you know, we want that communication channel opened up so that we can get information from them to them, however it works.
I have a question. As a result of the earlier motion that says we're requesting, putting in a formal request to the POA staff to update us where they are, what's the status of the, I assume the 271?
The implementation channel.
Yeah, so, I mean, it
might be easier than, but it probably won't be as easy as you think, Tom.
Well, I mean, I don't have high expectations of this request, but in the meantime, other than just reading the Excel spreadsheet and saying, okay, these are the things I'm supposed to monitor, should I just, it sounds to me like I should just cool my heels until
I think it would be good.
I'm supposed to monitor.
Yeah, to make the contact with, you know, with, in your case, Liz, for finance, and just say, hey, I'm going to be the person monitoring from CMP AC, and just start that relationship. That's the biggest thing, is building that relationship, deciding, here's what our role in this is. Because they don't know what we're doing either. But I would say, I mean, you know, they're going to be, what's this committee doing? All right, we're asked to kind of monitor this stuff and provide the advice out there.
Okay.
And be a resource.
Okay. So it's going to be a little bit of that interaction. It's going to be a learning experience. It'll be a really learning experience for both us and for the staff, because now they got people asking questions about a recommendation, you know, whatever.
So as an action item, each person, as you get the mapping, reach out to your committee chairs and your staff people and put it on your agenda to start attending their monthly meetings or however frequently they meet. I mean, get engaged.
Get engaged and just kind of learn what's going on there. We also sent out, Nikki and I sat there and went through, well, what do we need to be doing? That's what we sent out, the kind of the liaison roles and task supporting information. That's your reference to kind of say, here's what things we might be wanting to ask out there. And it's not going to be all inclusive, but we try to sit there and think about it as we're trying to gather the information so that we can provide the advice. Here's some of the questions you might have.
I want to offer something. Buddy might want to jump in, but I'm somewhat concerned about the terminology of monitoring, because I don't want the committees to get the feeling that this group is monitoring them. It should never come across that way, because you're not. They have their path and their work and what and there's different committees with different structures. Some are staff, some are board. So some are reporting in very different ways. Some, again, some like the golf and recreation, those are staff committees where those committees are only doing what staff asks them to do. Like, that's just it, and then like ACC is almost the exact opposite. They're reporting and monitoring based on work. I just want to be careful that it doesn't feel like you walk in I'm here to monitor what y'all are doing. I think that would go over like a big old fat lid balloon. Does that make sense?
Can we agree on another term?
Sure.
So that we take that one out of our vocabulary in this.
I mean, I consider it you're a resource, and you're there, resource for them to ask of you guys what from the CMP is going to be important to them in their work, and then at the same time for you to be learning from what they're doing, so that you can use that to be reporting and making your recommendations as you go forward too. So it's almost like a back and forth resourcing relationship instead of a monitoring. What do you think, buddy?
Well, you and I have talked about this. I have some reservations about that myself, but to me, y'all need to, when you go in to talk to the chairman, you need to tell them you're there to observe. And my suggestion is, if you see something you think they're doing wrong or need to talk about, don't tell them. They need to come back to you or whatever and come back that way on this. I personally think and I just don't want to get this started off badly, where some of the chairmen resent you coming in trying to tell them what to do.
That was my concern.
And that won't fly if it goes that way.
So the word is observe.
Observe and be a resource.
Observe and learn. Yeah. Observe and learn.
And the value to them is that we can be a resource. If they want to know something, we should be the experts on the CMP. So if they have questions about the CMP, then we are a resource to put.
That's right.
Okay, any other questions on how stuff has been divvied out, recommendations, let's say.
Do the committee's chairman know that this is part of what we are going to be doing now, so they will expect our call or whatever? Okay.
Stephanie put it out to the staff. The staff.
Oh.
And that's a good point. Stephanie had also made the request that as you reach out to the chairman or staff person, would you CC her so that she's aware of whatever the communication is? That way she doesn't get blindsided. I blindsided her. I'm so sorry. I made my first attempt and I just didn't.
So when you go talk to Stacy Hoover, Hoover's the staff for recreation, Stacy has trails too there. Say, hey, talk to Stacy so she kind of knows you, the person from the CMP world that's observing and learning.
In your particular case, it is a staff committee, so Stacy would be your best person to reach out to. Or like I said, just show up at the meeting. I'm here for you.
And if you're having any troubles, I very carefully crafted an email introduction. I'm happy to share that as a template if you want to use that as you go forward into it. Again, I spend a lot of time and effort, and I'm happy to get some feedback from y'all, but a really, really soft introduction, no bam, bam, bam down your neck and, monitoring. No, I try to be very soft and open and say, hey, I'm a resource. I just want to kind of introduce myself and would like to come to your meetings, that type of thing.
And we will, you can go ahead and turn the lights on, Nancy. This will be we're going to observe and learn, and we're going to be a learning experience. Because that's a big thing is you go through this next month, and you maybe start having your interface with your committee, bring back what's working and what's the challenge and what are their concerns. So we need to, again, we go back to our mission statement to advise and out there, but we need to know if you can, advice is cheap if you don't do your research. You can just sit there and make up something. But it's the advice that is based on good research that usually, doesn't work better. So, and that's what you really are. You're learning, and it makes sense. Oh, that's why they do it that way. That's why this project is out there. Why this recommendation is, they're not doing it in this recommendation because X, Y, and Z. Okay, that takes care of the recommendation mapping in the project there. Okay, strategic level review of budget and revenue growth. We have been asked to look at the 35,000 foot look at the budget type of stuff when it comes out. This ties directly into the O&M tables and stuff like that. We are not down in the nuts and bolts, that's staff, but to look at, starting with the O&M tables, to say, hey, here's where the money is spent, and that's why it's critical to the updated ones, to say, all right, here's where the money for next year is going to be spent. It's hard to provide advice on at the strategic level if you don't know where the money's being spent. And this will be probably a little easier for Murray, because you're in the kind of in the public service. But for the rest of us, if you're recreation, where are they spending the money in 2020? And kind of the strategic level. And I'll use this as an example. At the strategic level, you're spending all your money on one thing, and you're not spending it. We don't see any money being spent here or spent there. I used it when I went through and looked at the O&M tables. You can look at where the projects are and say, all right, yeah, they're doing all here. They're not doing anything in this area. So we kind of look in those areas, and there may be a reason out there. But it's a kind of that broad brush about there. And I use an example in public services. If there's no money for roads, we're probably at a strategic level saying, we probably need to spend some money on the roads. But, that's an obvious one if it wouldn't be there. But there may be something out there that's, we're not down in nuts and bolts saying, they're only spending $1.25 on roads, they should be spending $1.50. That's not our responsibility. That's staff responsibility, and if they need to work with their committees. Ours is that broader brush.
And we also have, part of our charter is also the mapping to the enterprise goals. So when you take a look at not the 2019, because that's unique to this year, and I'm not sure what 2020 is, but the A, B, C, and D. So is there any mapping towards the A, B, C, and D that's in your notebook? There may be some opportunities there to say, okay, maybe this isn't the year that we're going to do 25% for A and 25% for B. Maybe it's 100% on D. I don't know, but bring it up. Maybe there's something there that they say, you know what, we should have spent a little bit of time on this area or that area or whatever. I don't know, but 37,000 foot level, maybe there's a little acknowledgement there that maybe we could take another review there.
I think one of the things the board is going to be looking for from y'all is growth. Where can we grow financially?
Revenue growth?
That's
one of our
right here.
things, yeah.
Revenue growth. I think that's really one of the prime things.
And that's why we need to see the next iteration of the 2020 budget O&M tables, because what we got the O&M tables in here, 2019, we go back and see what they executed against.
Right.
That's what we're, as you look at the tables here, what have we executed against? And something's not been executed against. So.
Whoa.
But it's just saying that's a strategic level.
Yeah, growth. I mean, that's like finance committee, right?
Well, no, it's a strategic level of revenue growth.
There's no finance committee.
Okay, let's put it this way.
So.
They're down there worried about, do we charge $3.72 for something or $5 for something? We're looking at, well, you haven't looked at trying to grow your revenue in this area, not down there in the nickels and dimes. But correct me if I'm wrong, that's what we've been asked to do is look, we haven't thought about trying to grow any revenue in this area.
Or is there enough?
Is there an opportunity to grow revenue in that area? So as you look at it, you kind of say, we're already charging for golf. Okay, we're probably not going to try to say, come back and say revenue growth on the members there, because we're already doing that stuff.
And that's what like the golf committee's doing, and then like you said, I mean, that work's already being done. Yeah. So it really is looking for
new
opportunities
ideas
that don't exist today.
New ideas. And again, it's. I don't know, we'll do something. We'll start off from here's a good one. We'll offer jet ski rides on Lake Balboa. People haven't read the internet, have they, huh?
I know a great one. We can make some serious revenue and get some of our tax dollars back if we treat sewage for,
There it is. That's true.
they just keep doing that. Of course, that's getting blocked,
But that's deserved, we kind of understand, so go back and kind of refresh yourselves with the O&M tables, and especially in your area that you're liaison with, to kind of say, all right, here's what's making sense. And then we'll sit there and kind of look at the strategic, where we're, you might start off saying, yeah, they're not spending money on this, this, and that, but then you kind of jump up, all those lumped together, and that's more strategic, like, type of thing.
And again, I would be, a little bit, I wouldn't jump into an O&M table review right this minute. They're absolutely in the process of being revised right now. That's part of the budgeting process today. So Liz has even modified the tables some, but we're updating them currently. So if you go looking right now, it would be futile.
Well, it's not, I wouldn't say it's futile, but to give you an idea, just to try and get your brain thinking about if I was looking at this, if this is the budget presented, where am I saying that? When I look at it, I wrote down a bunch of notes and said, hey, type of tough stuff here, see where there potentially could, make a piece, lumping together for more of a strategic assessment. And this is going to be an interesting conversation.
What's our timeline?
We're, again, the budget comes out in October. So as soon as they get this out, as soon as we get the new O&M tables, we'll probably be talking about this. It's going to be on the agenda for August to kind of say, hey, what's your initial thoughts? And then what do we put together as a committee? Because we're advising it. The committee is advising against the, against the budget, both to the CEO/staff and the board. Here's when we look at it. Here's what we see is at the strategic level.
When was the first presentation of the board?
October. But we may be asked to, October we'll be going and looking at the recommendations.
No, not us, I mean the budget.
Well, the budget goes.
The budget's approved in
October.
Yeah, that's what I mean, the budget
August.
goes in October, so.
See, that's why we're looking at August, September to make our strategic type of review.
Okay, I can make that clear, it's not October.
Yeah, but October is when we get into, all right, here's how the status and kind of any advice on the recommendation. So two distinct things. We've been asked to look at the money, the strategic level area there, and then we get down a little more into the details there of the recommendations to say kind of where do we stand in October.
Yeah, the board and public reviews all happen in September, that first reviews period, and then the board votes in October.
When would it first be available for us to look at? August?
September.
September.
Okay.
You guys you formed in the middle of all this. I don't think there's any expectation that for this 2020 budget, you're going to be able to give them a lot of input into the budget. It's just the timing was too tight. You just didn't know enough.
Yeah, that's why it's more of a learning, go back and look at the current O&M tables and kind of get your thought process there. Kind of say, here, when I look at these, this kind of jumps out at me and say, this is maybe where we need to be putting a little more. Potentially giving advice at a strategic level, put more focus there.
I have a question. We know about the standing committees and all that. Is there an O&M impact or link with our subcommittees?
Yes, there's a couple of them that are O&M.
So should our subcommittees be getting together to take a look?
The subcommittee's going to have to look at public safety is one of them.
Well, every department.
Every department.
Every committee has some kind of a tie to it because every department is preparing a budget and every department has.
Out of the six subcommittees, marketing and public safety are the ones that definitely probably need to be looking at that because they have money really tied against it that you can tell the money versus when you start looking at government and economic development, education, communication, road and community development. Right now, it's hard to tie specific dollars on a budget to make a strategic level budget, providing advice. So. Okay.
I just want to make sure that we're kind of tying everything together now.
Any questions on that? That's going to be interesting. Buddy's laughing. Yeah, you know what the board's asked us to do. We get extra pay for this, don't we? We get a foot-long Subway sandwich versus a 6-inch Subway sandwich.
As soon as I get my company car.
So
I just want a cookie.
my question is, when I asked you when the ACC meets, why did you laugh?
This way.
Okay, going around the table. We've covered a lot of stuff today. We put in a lot of type of stuff there. Yeah, we already talked about the table review. I've kind of joined those two together. Murray, anything else you want to throw out on the table?
No.
Again, okay, Rolland?
Said enough already.
So no. Pam's going, oh man, I got a meeting down right there. Tom? Nothing? Got all your notes, you all set? Patricia? Buddy?
I just want to thank you all for what you're doing. It's a beginning. This is what, your second full meeting? Or
Third full meeting.
And you've established your subcommittee for marketing, and now you're looking at the others. You're doing good.
Like I said, foot-long Subway sandwich material here.
These meetings getting longer than necessary.
Oh, I know. Stephanie? Nikki?
Just FYI, I will not be at the next meeting. I will be in the
Really?
meetings.
Nikki's goofing off next week. Hopefully, Clint and Jody hopefully be here the next time. Anybody else?
I guess I do have one quick little thing, which is that I see Jamie's in the back now. So introduce Jamie Caperton. She's our new chief member. Is it engagement or experience? Experience. Chief member experience officer. So yes, and the liaison to the marketing subcommittee. So
Okay.
welcome, Jamie. Welcome.
Okay, now I'll open up to guest comments. Anything? Patrick?
Just one quick comment, kind of a question, but for all the committee. Is marketing seen as the most important task for the village?
It was seen as our most important thing to get it going and get something moving on it first. I will not say it's for the village, but I will say for the PAC, that was our #1 task. Does that kind of muck it up a little bit? But I would say that if they want us to work on it as quickly as possible, that is a high priority for that board. Buddy, correct me if I'm wrong. That's what I read coming out of the board. We got to get that committee up and running, make some
noise.
Well, not make some noise, but we can make all the but to kind of give us some direction that we can and that they can provide advice to the staff and to the board. So, I don't know what else, but how else to really say it. I mean, we spent a lot of time on it to get it up and running. So, Marcy.
I think I have two questions. In your charter, or in the charter, I didn't see anything about mission and vision statements, nor is there any other committee that has mission and vision in their charter. And you started out with that, and you mentioned it often. What is giving the committee the authority to create a mission and vision statement separate from the one we have for the committee?
We took it upon ourselves to create our own. What is this committee all about? What is our mission? And our mission is different in that, and that's why we had the discussion about we're an advisory committee, and to say this is what our mission is.
And so how do you see yourself using it then?
Just keeping us on track and letting the public know, here's what we're doing. This is our mission. It's not out there to run the village. It's not out there to do this. It's to provide that advice based on the advice on this document. It's not, if there's something outside the document, it's not our advice to go out there and tell Jason Miller that it needs to do something with a fire truck or something like that. But, it's our advice, if there's a recommendation about something in there about a fire, then we provide the advice on that recommendation. That kind of give you a little bit.
Well, I do understand that. I
Yeah.
just meant the specifically creating a mission and vision. No
We're just
other
doing a
committee has
mission,
done
yeah,
that.
we're just doing our mission statement there, out there.
Okay, and then regarding going into the committees as an advisory, CMP advisory people, how is that going along, or have you compared that to what's going on in the board, with the board regarding, for example, the bylaw changes in Article 12 and all the committee issues that are challenging right now?
We have not laid out and said anything. We have our charter and we're marching underneath our charter, and we're, as far as I'm concerned, the bylaws right now,
You're in compliance.
we're in compliance with those bylaws. We're not one of the committees that's not in compliance. So we're trying to just do what we've been asked to do. And again, the hard part is just laying out the structure of how we're going to do this. I mean, if you'd have looked at the initial structure, it was a little different. And we had to kind of sit down internally, Nikki, I, and Stephanie, and I said, all right, this doesn't make sense of how we're laying something out. And Buddy was part of that discussion too. And, all right, here's how we want to do this. So that's been the hardest part, because we're new. To say, all right, we're a liaison in one, you may be wearing a liaison hat one day, but then the other day you're wearing a subcommittee hat on, because there's recommendations that don't fit into any nice little pocket.
And to support that, communications is so big. I mean, not only just getting the message out, but getting information in. And we needed to create those links, those channels with the people who know that. I mean, so it makes sense to have a liaison where they have the information.
So when you said there's a three-legged stool, is this really a fourth leg? Is it committees?
No, because the committees are all either they're property owners. So, I mean, I don't see that they're property owners. If they're a staff committee, they're kind of pseudo-staff. And, Murray could say, for public services, you're almost a pseudo-staff there when you walk in the roads.
And my last question then, which is now the fourth one, sorry. I was in a meeting just a couple days ago where I was asked, where does the CMP lie in the hierarchy of our governing document?
You have to ask the board.
Well, I do know where it ended up when it was
Yeah,
approved.
I would just say that that's not part of our charter or anything, where the CMP lies. We are just tasked with providing advice on the CMP.
Okay.
See, I'm not trying to, I'm just telling you
That's a good answer.
that's not
That
ours.
is the answer.
Do you consider it a governing document, or have you been told that?
I haven't been told anything.
Okay.
I mean, it's a plan, and we've been asked to, as the 9 committee members, to be the advisors on this, to be out there and look at it and say what's good, provide that advice.
I'll ask them that.
Yeah, you need to ask them. I mean, I'm just a duly, chairman there. Okay, anything else? Yes, ma'am.
You had 3 subjects up there under marketing. You did not include property owners.
But remember, we went out and talked about what we were going to do the SWOT on initially, and that's what Pam requested the SWOT on. We could have been here all day.
Who's our best seller of the village? It's the property owners.
Right.
Yes.
They're not one of your 4 categories.
Well, we were looking at specifically marketing channels, not the people aspect, but the modalities. Was that?
But they would be one of the modalities, is what you're saying.
We are. And we don't belong some little subset on your 2nd or 3rd chart.
It would be a fourth.
You need a 4th one.
Pam, you got that?
Got it. Hear it.
Understand? And we know, and we look at it, again, we had this little discussion here, are we doing external or internal? Our marketing, as we do marketing, we got to do external and we got to do internal.
You could go on and on, honestly, Jan. I mean, you could go to radio, you could have done television, you could have
No,
done.
but you just can't.
No, I'm not saying that, I'm saying there are more than the 3 that she had there. Rutland are one of them.
There are, but the top one is villagers selling the village